Well, hey, mamas. Hello, hello. We are here for a new series. This week, we're focusing on high school. So, I want to know, will your child be in high school this year? Because we did a series about preparing for college not too long ago, but now let's focus on getting your freshman, your almost high school freshman, ready for that first day of school, let alone the first year. So, if you have a freshman, let me know. And if you've got particular questions, let me know so we can talk about them all week. Today, I want to focus on expectations. What are those things that you and your team need to talk about before day one? What are those 3 different types of expectations that really need to be discussed? So definitely stick around to the end on Facebook, on YouTube, as we talk about that. I know I've kind of got different setup going on still, so hopefully everything's all good, everything's working. And I look forward to talking to you all very soon, because there's a link in the description for us to set up a chat between you, me, and your teen as well. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the first expectation I encourage you and your teen to really figure out is the social aspect. Okay, now your teen is now a teen. Okay, you had a tween in middle school, and as they start high school, I'd say there's probably a 99% chance all of my mamas that are watching this have a teen. So that means dating, that means friends, that means all sorts of other stuff that comes up with the social aspect in the high school. So definitely have a meeting with your teen, have a meeting with the family, figure out, what are your rules, your expectations around dating? What are those rules about relationships? What's the rule about having friends over? Okay. Because you do not want to have your child, expecting to get to have someone stay the night that may or may not be a significant other, and have you have an awkward, like, whoa, like, what am I going to do about this? Or is my child allowed to date? Have these discussions now. Okay. Definitely want to be on the same page with your child before any of the awkwardness happens. Okay. You want to know what your teen thinks is okay, and your teen needs to know where you're coming from. Okay. And also do know, if you don't want your child to have friends over every night because, you want your teen to focus on schoolwork, or you don't want your teen to be out all hours of the night. Again, if there's a curfew, that's something else to discuss, that social aspect, that social expectation. So it's a very big, broad idea, this idea of expectations when it comes to social things, but you need to have those discussions with your teen now. Okay. Now, the other two expectations come down to the expectations of academics, the actual school side of school. And then also we have future plans to talk about. I keep changing my phone over here. So I've got a camera for YouTube over here, my phone over here. So sorry if I'm going back and forth. But before I talk about academic plans, before I talk about those future plans, do know I would love you as a subscriber, love you as your follower, because this is the first video in the series, so there will be many more videos about those high school expectations. That's why I want you to share those questions if you have any, mama, as you're watching. And also know that if you subscribe, you can turn on those notifications. If you follow on Facebook and turn on those notifications, you won't miss any of the videos. All right, so me, I'm a study skills tutor. Okay, I'm the CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring. So I want your teens to love to learn. I want your teens to get those really good grades. I want your teens to do as well as they can because they want to do as well as they can. I want them to get the grades that they're more than capable of getting because they know how they learn. They know how to use those study skills. They know what actually works for them and how to personalize their learning. So you got to decide, mama. How do you feel about school? Like, how do you feel about grades? Like, what are your expectations for your son, for your daughter who's going to be a high school freshman? If you want your child to be a straight A student, your child needs to know that. If you're okay with passing and doing the best they can, again, your teen needs to know that. Because there are so many different expectations you can have when it comes to grades, when it comes to academics. If you want your teen to commit to studying every single night for a minimum of 30 minutes, that's totally fine. But if you're like school doesn't matter kind of parent, your teen, is going to have that attitude in high school too. So definitely have that discussion as to what you kind of grades, what kind of studying, what kind of homework, kind of routine you want to have happen, and make sure your teen's on the same page. Okay, your teen might think it's crazy of you to say, no, you have to get straight A's. Or your teen might go, well, I can get a lot better than passing. Or, I'm going to take AP classes. Or, I plan to be, ahead of the game and have some college credits by the time I graduate high school. I mean, your teen needs to have these thoughts, these plans, these discussions with you. And you need to know and let your teen know where you're coming from, what your thoughts are as your teen gets ready to go to high school. Because the worst thing that can happen, especially with academics, is that your teen gets to be, sophomore or junior and is really thinking about college or is really thinking about next steps. And then, your teen's disappointed. And then you're upset because your team's upset that, well, guess that can't happen. Or, oh, I guess that's out of reach now. That opportunity is not going to happen just because of grades or just because of this test score. All of those kinds of things. So definitely we want to know what our level is, what our bar is as we start high school. And as to future plans, I kind of mentioned it a little bit when I talked about test scores, but definitely do know, with the way things are right now with test blind and test optional and trade schools versus, 4-year schools versus certifications, like there's so many options for your child after high school graduation that you and your teen need to start thinking about those things, start talking about those things. Because your child can start applying for college scholarships like really early, like middle school kind of early, if not even earlier than that. So definitely, if college is on the horizon, have some discussions with your teens about that. Okay, figure out, when is that college list going to happen? Are you going to hire someone to, help your teen get ready for the ACT, the SAT? Are you planning on your teen doing really well on the PSAT and getting that National Merit Scholarship, if possible? Is your child, sure, I don't want to go to college. And so then we're figuring out, okay, trade school, certifications, what are those things that your teen can do after high school graduation? Because again, I just want to kind of get your brains going because, high school freshmen, it's like, okay, we're just starting the high school journey. We're just starting the next steps. But good or bad, those 4 years can go really, really fast. And especially if you have kiddos that are older, you have other high schoolers or even college students, as well as you're about to be high school freshmen. You've seen things that went well. You've seen things that didn't go well, and you've kind of gone, what could we have done differently? So definitely have these discussions now. Okay. And if your teen doesn't know, do I want to go to college? Do I want to go trade school? Do I want to take a gap year? That's okay. I mean, your high school freshman is a high school freshman. But if we start these discussions now, well, your teen will be more open to discussing these things with as the years go on, and it won't be such a surprise. Hey, such and such friend is looking for an intern this summer, or how about let's go visit this college because we're in town. Have these discussions now. So I think I want to end it there. So thank you so much for watching. If you've got questions about those 3 expectations of social, the academic, and the future plans, drop them below. And do know this is only the first video in the series. And do also know that as your child goes into high school, there are going to be some eye-opening moments when it comes to the coursework, when it comes to the speed of the curriculum, and the level of work required by your teen. So I work with so many students that don't know how to study. I work with so many families that don't bring me in until their teens have had a really bad semester. And good or bad, as soon as your child takes a high school class, he or she has a GPA. Okay, so we can always try to make it better, but after that first semester, your teen's never going to have a 4.0 again. I mean, there's just nothing that can happen about it because it is literally a GPA, which means it's averaged throughout the semesters, throughout the years. So if you want your teen to do as well as he can, you want your teen to know how to study, to feel confident for those academic things, which impact every other part of the high school experience, let alone every other thing that comes after high school, let's talk. So schedule a call. It's called Talk with Jessy, totally free. At the link in the description, you should see it down below on Calendly. So thank you for watching, and I hope to talk to you and your teen very soon so your teen can learn how to study before high school, so that way we get to focus on the fun stuff, the new classes, the new electives, the new friends, and not have to be worried about, oh my goodness, how do I keep track of everything that I need to do? Oh my goodness, how am I ever going to learn this concept? This seems really hard. If your teen knows how to learn, that will not be a problem, and I can help teach your teen study skills. Talk to you tomorrow, Mama.